American Criminals is a 2025 film written and directed by Warr, and we have a cast including Brazeau as Nathan Leopold and Jake Schory as Richard Loeb. And when I read the description for this, I immediately wanted to watch it because it's about Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, two murderers. They murdered a 14-year-old boy called Bobby Franks in the 1920s. This is, of course, based on a true story, and I knew basically nothing about that. So I really wanted to watch this to get a bit of an education. And having now watched it, I can confirm that it is a watchable film, and there are some good aspects. The lighting is very good, the music is very good, but there are some aspects that definitely needed a lot of work. In general, as a story about these two boys who decide to murder somebody and then the legal aspect that goes along with that, it's an interesting story. I don't know how factually accurate it is. I did a little bit of reading about the case afterwards, but I'm by no means an expert, so I'm not in a position to comment on whether it's a good representation of the case. If anybody has any thoughts on that, please feel free to let me know. But in terms of being interesting, yes, the story definitely was fascinating. With regards to the characters themselves, again, I don't know how true they are to the real individuals, but they seemed like well enough written characters and were certainly interesting enough, so that worked well. I didn't love the narrative itself in terms of the pacing, where the focus was, how it developed. It wasn't the most engaging. So the overarching concept was fascinating, but the actual development of the narrative, it wasn't the best. We also have some acting that feels like acting, not necessarily from the leads, but from some supporting characters. Some of the acting did feel like acting. And we have some really, really shaky camera work as well. Get a tripod. Some of it's really just distracting more than anything else. So those aspects definitely could have been improved upon. But as I said, the story itself is interesting, if not the best executed. The narrative as a concept, though, I think makes for a compelling story. But again, I don't know if it's factually accurate completely. If anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd love to know what you think, or if you can add any insight there. The music's great, the lighting's very good. Some of the performances are not bad, but in general, the film needs quite a lot of work to be a good film. But it is watchable, so if you're interested in the story, if the general concept fascinates you, I'd say check it out. It is watchable, but it's not a great film. Some of the technical aspects, the camera work definitely could be better. Not throughout it, it's not every single scene, but it was enough for me to start finding it quite distracting. And as I said, some of the acting feels absolutely like acting, but not everybody, and not from our leads. So it's not a huge issue. It's still a watchable film. Do I recommend it? Only if you're really interested in the topic. But if you're just looking for a general film recommendation for a really enjoyable experience, American Criminals needs a bit of work to get to that point. But if you are curious about the criminal case, then I'd say it is watchable, so it's worth watching. It needs some work, but it's not horrendous. And if you are curious, then I'd say maybe it's worth watching. Maybe once. Once was enough, but I didn't hate the experience. So for anybody interested in the topic, I'm happy enough to recommend it.